iPad, Galaxy Tab, stop worrying and make a decision. I'll help you find the right tablet through this video. If you're wondering which tablet to buy, pay attention. Both the iPad and Galaxy Tab are top-tier tablets and excellent choices. That's why it's so hard to decide. Watch this video until the end and you'll be able to choose the one that fits you best. Using your phone for gaming and your laptop for video editing can be tough. I'll compare the iPad and Galaxy Tab perfectly based on your usage and style. For those who play games or do work on their tablets, I recommend buying an iPad over a Galaxy Tab. The performance of the iPad is significantly better than the Galaxy Tab. The Galaxy Tab cannot yet match the iPad in terms of performance and heat management. For instance, the M1 chip in the iPad Air 5th generation from 2022 and the M2 chip in the iPad Pro 6th generation are much better than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 in the Galaxy Tab S9. For example, let's say you want to edit videos. The M1 or M2 chips in the iPad are originally designed for MacBooks, meaning they are powerful enough for video editing on a tablet. Moreover, the iPad mini offers an 8-inch display and a high-performance processor, making it ideal for gaming. However, there is no Galaxy Tab model with an 8-inch display and a high-performance processor yet. Additionally, the Galaxy Tab still lags behind the iPad in managing heat during gaming.
And why not just buy an iPad, which is better in all aspects?
Some of you might think so. However, the better performing iPad is much more expensive than the Galaxy Tab. For example, the iPad Pro 6th generation with the M2 chip and the Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra have a price difference of over $400. Moreover, the Galaxy Tab S9 series uses the same Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 across all sizes, so the performance doesn't increase with size. So here's what I think. If you want a smooth working experience or a portable gaming device, go for the iPad over the Galaxy Tab. Most people switching from a phone to a tablet do so because they find it inconvenient to use a small screen. When using a tablet with a large screen, obviously, how you use that screen is important. For those who need to use multiple windows simultaneously, I recommend the Galaxy Tab over the iPad. This is because the Galaxy Tab offers more flexibility and convenience in screen splitting. For instance, with the Galaxy Tab, you can watch YouTube, search, and use Facebook Messenger at the same time, adjusting the windows to your preferred size. However, you cannot freely resize the screen with iPad. With the iPad, you are limited to predefined ratios like 1:1 or 7:3. The Galaxy Tab supports horizontal, vertical, and three-way splits. What's more, you can adjust window sizes freely. Using DeX mode, you can open multiple windows like on a computer. iPad indeed has multitasking features too. However, it is limited to specific ratios of 1:1 or 7:3. Also has so many apps that do not support multitasking. For example, if you want to watch YouTube while playing a game, since the game app doesn't support split view, you can't use multitasking.
Watching YouTube and messaging while gaming is a given, so I have to buy a Galaxy Tab, right?
Some of you might think so. Apple has released a new multitasking feature called Stage Manager. This allows more freedom in resizing and moving windows than the split view does. The stick feeling of the motion is quite awesome. However, it's still not as efficient. So here's what I think. If you want to play game while watching how to beat YouTube video or frequently use multitasking features, I recommend the Galaxy Tab over the iPad. When considering a tablet, one of the most important aspects is the pen that comes with it. Tablets allow you to draw, take notes, and do things easily that are difficult on a phone due to the small screen. Both the iPad and Galaxy Tab have their own pens. The Apple Pencil and S Pen, respectively, maximize the tablet's utility. These pens allow you to take notes on your tablet instead of in a notebook and draw as if on paper with the greatest compatibility. Let's compare the Apple Pencil and S Pen based on your usage and style. Firstly, the Apple Pencil has a hard plastic tip, so for drawings or writing in English that require a lot of smooth strokes, I prefer the iPad's Apple Pencil, which I can use smoothly like a glide. On the other hand, the S Pen has a soft rubber tip, so when writing many short strokes, the S Pen of the Galaxy Tab can be more comfortable with more friction felt. For example, even if I don't necessarily draw, if my writing style involves connecting letters smoothly, the iPad is more comfortable, but if I write with strokes separated, the Galaxy Tab is more comfortable.
But I don't know my style, I just don't like my wrist hurting when writing. Which one is more comfortable?
Some of you might think so. The Apple Pencil for the iPad weighs 18 grams. On the other hand, the S Pen for the Galaxy Tab weighs about 9 grams, which is half the weight of the Apple Pencil. So if you want to reduce the burden of using the pen for a long time due to its relatively lighter weight when writing or drawing, using the Galaxy Tab is better.
But I prefer a pen with more functions. Which one has more functions between the Apple Pencil and the S Pen?
Some of you might think so. The second generation of the Apple Pencil for the iPad has a double tap function, making it convenient to switch tools like pen and eraser when taking notes or drawing. You don't need to press a separate button, just double tap the pen to write, erase, and write again. The S Pen for the Galaxy Tab has an Air Actions feature, allowing you to preset desired functions and use them by pressing a button. For example, if you set the button to the translation function, you can translate foreign language files or web documents with just one press of the button. So here's what I think. Consider what style you have when using a tablet and what functions you use more frequently with a pen. Then decide between the iPad and Galaxy Tab, choosing the product that suits you better. If you buy a tablet but can't use the applications you want or the functions you prefer, it can be frustrating. When considering between an iPad and a Galaxy Tab, the most important thing to think about is which apps you will use. This is because the Galaxy Tab uses Android, while the iPad uses macOS, so their app ecosystems are different. For example, if you buy a Galaxy Tab but want to use the Procreate app for drawing, you can't, because Procreate is only available on the iPad. The iPad has a more established app ecosystem since it laid the foundation before tablets became popular, so there are more apps available for use on the iPad compared to the Galaxy Tab.
So does the Galaxy Tab fall short of the iPad when it comes to note-taking or drawing?
Some of you might think so. Samsung is also putting a lot of effort into competing with Apple in the tablet market. The Galaxy Tab has apps like Samsung Notes, Flexel, and Note Shelf that you can use for note-taking. Even GoodNotes, which was only available on the iPad, is now available on the Galaxy Tab. Additionally, they've partnered with Clip Studio, a drawing program widely used on PCs, to ensure they don't fall behind in drawing apps. In the past, I would always recommend the iPad for drawing and note-taking, but now the Galaxy Tab has gained enough competitiveness to rival the iPad in these areas. So here's what I think. Consider which apps you will use on the tablet, and then choose between the iPad and Galaxy Tab based on what suits you best. You might draw and take notes on the tablet, but there are those who also consider viewing PDF files and doing document work, such as Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. If you are considering document work, the Galaxy Tab is better than the iPad. This is because it is less cumbersome to work on documents on the Galaxy Tab. For example, after finishing document work on the iPad, if you want to transfer the file to a Windows-based work PC, you can't do it directly. You have to use email or Google Drive to transfer it. This is an additional step that can hinder smooth file transition. On the other hand, with the Galaxy Tab, you can easily transfer documents just by connecting the tablet to the work PC with a flash drive, similar to using an external hard drive. Therefore, for those who frequently work on documents, the Galaxy Tab is more convenient to use than the iPad.
But I use a Mac at work and have an iPhone. Should I still go for the Galaxy Tab?
Some of you might think so. If you're already using a Mac-based operating system, you can also work on documents with MS Word on the iPad and transfer them directly from the iPad to your MacBook using AirDrop. So here's what I think. If you use an Android phone or a Windows PC, go with the Galaxy Tab. If you use an iPhone or a MacBook, go with the iPad. Think again which one offers better connectivity with the operating system you primarily use. You might be super enthusiastic since you have plenty of plans for drawing, writing, or video editing before you buy a tablet. However, you might end up using it to watch YouTube or Netflix, like me. As you can see, watching videos cannot be ignored or rather important when you buy a tablet. If you prefer a cinematic feel while watching videos, go for the iPad. If you prefer a full screen experience, then go for the Galaxy Tab with widescreen format. This is because the iPad and Galaxy Tab have different screen ratios. The typical ratio for YouTube videos is 16:9. However, the iPad has a 4:3 screen ratio. On the other hand, the Galaxy Tab has the same 16:9 screen ratio as YouTube videos. So even with the same screen size, you can watch videos in full screen on the Galaxy Tab. On the other hand, on the iPad, you will have black bars at the top and bottom, giving you a cinematic feel. So here's what I think. If you like watching videos in full screen and larger, go with the Galaxy Tab. If you prefer a cinematic feel, try the iPad. Today, we looked at whether you need an iPad or a Galaxy Tab, depending on your style and use. Both the iPad and Galaxy Tab have their pros and cons, so if you choose the tablet that suits you better, you won't regret it and you'll think there's no better tablet. I've summarized the really good models of the iPad and Galaxy Tab series we compared today in the pinned comment below. Stop worrying and pick your tablet today. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and like. For your smart home appliance life, I'll bring even more useful information next time. It was Appliance. Stay tuned.